think about what my great-grandfather and my grandfather would think now when they look down on us, I think they'd be proud. I think they would say that we've carried the family tradition forward of care of the land, care of the animals, and care of family. This ranch was purchased by my great-grandfather in 1929, and our family has been there 4 generations for Joy and I, and we're fortunate to have the 5th and 6th generations on the ranch with us, and our daughter, son-in-law, and our grandchildren.
The land in southeast Colorado where we live is fairly rough. It's semi-arid. We have periods of rain, and then we have periods of drought.
We're in an environment where we've got a lot of cactus, we've got minimal growth of forages, and we have to plan continuously how we can stockpile those forages against an area that doesn't have an abundant moisture. We became aware of the possibility of being more effective in keeping our range in good condition by rotating the cattle, so that the majority of the ranch during the growing season, the cattle aren't on it.
The reason why we rest the pasture is that when the cows go through the ranch and then the pasture gets rain on it, then it will grow grass, and then the cows come back to that pasture. So it's kind of a full circle.
We've been able to improve our drought resistance through pasture management. By being able to have more rest in our pastures, grow more forage for next year by not having cattle in there, lets us go year over year without having to make drastic management decisions.
Water is essential, and it's very sparse and hard to come by in this country.
Putting tanks and strategically placing tanks in different areas of the pasture have allowed the cows to go and graze areas that predominantly they might not have grazed because there was no water.
The things we've done to improve the land and the water, we've seen great improvement in the wildlife. We've seen more deer and bighorn sheep and turkey.
I love what I do because it fills my heart. It gives me great pride to see my kids and my parents all together.
It's the best. It's the best life, to be with your kids and to be in the great outdoors and to see God's creation every day.
To say that I love this land is even not enough of an expression of how we feel about this, how blessed we are that the Lord has put us in this position where we can be here, we can grow our family here, that we can leave a legacy behind.
I believe we're here as stewards to manage the land. We like to use the term manage instead of trying to farm it and work it, because that's you're trying to force yourself on things. Instead, we try and work harmoniously with the land and nature. SK Herefords is a family operation. I'm the K in the SK with my daughter Alana and her husband Zach and my wife Dawn and my business partner Dave Schubel. Alana and Zach are the 6th generation, and I have 7 grandchildren and 1 on the way that I hope will be the 7th.
Taking care of the land is a top priority for everybody here at SK Herefords, from me to my parents to Zach and anybody that we come in contact with. We make sure that that priority is clear.
All of our decisions are based upon our location. We have Oak Orchard Creek, which goes through the eastern part of the farm, which flows directly into Lake Ontario.
We've taken a lot of steps to help keep the creek clean. We have buffer strips that are between our cattle and the creek, and we've made a lot of permanent fencing around the creek to kind of deter the cattle from getting close to the creek.
Our goal is to keep that water as pristine as possible, so that all the people that go canoeing and kayaking and fishing and swimming can all have that wonderful experience of having great, clean, fresh water.
So we started the direct marketing to farmers markets around 5 or 6 years ago, I would say. And it's been huge for our farm.
We sit between two cities of over 1 million people, and those folks, when we go to their farmers markets, they like to talk with the farmer, they like to be able to connect with that farming community, and we get to tell our story. We get to tell the story of our farm, and people really want to hear that story.
Interacting with our customers at the farmers market, it really gives us the opportunity to show the customers that we not only care for our cattle, but we care for the land as well.
I believe in what we're doing. I wouldn't be here doing it if I didn't. And as having young children, I want to leave this place in as good a shape as I can for the future generations.
I think we're living our dream of farming, raising cattle, raising forages, raising kids and grandkids. I think it's a very happy place at SK Herefords.
We care for the land because it's a God-given responsibility. We're all part of the land, and we need the land, the resources of the land, and we need it to carry on to the next generation.
Grass was meant to be grazed, and cattle are the tool that we use to do that with, and the cattle have really improved the environment out here.
I'm Rich Blair with Blair Brothers Angus Ranch in Vail, South Dakota. So this ranch was established in 1954 whenever my dad moved here.
We're mainly a cow-calf operation in that we'll run around 1,000 cows in 2 different locations.
And then now we've got my son Britton and his son Chad involved. It's very much a family operation. What Ed and I have focused an awful lot on is developing water on the ranch. And the main reason to get the water was so that we could have grazing distribution and get the cattle scattered and graze a pasture evenly.
So if you can spread out your water, you spread out your grazing. We're never done with it. Man, you think we got lots of tanks and lots of cross fencing and that, but there's always another project that you could fulfill to help utilize what you have better. On this ranch especially, we've done a lot of cross fencing. It started with small pastures. We'll rotate cows every 2 to 3 days in the spring. It's like mowing your lawn. You go in and you clip it off, not short, but just half of what's there. And then as it rains, it'll grow back really fast. So we feel like we get like a month of free grazing by just rotating those pastures really fast, clipping them off and getting off of them.
You know, we're always out monitoring the environment, and we want to graze cattle, but we also want the wildlife to thrive and all species really to thrive with what we're doing. And those of us in ranching really work hard at improving the environment every day.
I believe that the cattle make a healthy environment. A well-managed cattle operation, you're sequestering carbon into the soil. And the cattle, through the good grazing management, will sequester more carbon into the soil than non-grazed operations.
The cattle operation that we run, in my mind, is very economically positive, very sustainable.
We always try to make things better on the land because it's the right thing to do. And also, we want to be here for generations.
It's a generational thing. To have the appreciation, you know, and the understanding of what you can do out here managing this resource.
And if we can benefit the land and the wildlife and the livestock, and ultimately we're in business to make money, and I think by doing what we're doing, you can. It is beneficial for everything.
Sustainability is a process, and whatever happens tomorrow will be affected by what I do today. But if you are wise and listen to the land, it'll tell you what it can do. I'm John Ferry, J.Y. Ferry & Son, located here in northern Utah on the Bear River Delta. My great-grandfather immigrated here right after the railroad at the turn of the century. I'm fourth generation. I operate on our ranch with my brother, and I have a son who's coming along on the fifth generation.
Sustainability is a daily goal for our family, and sustainability to me means managing the resource in such a way that it's here for generations.
Our cow herd is wetland based, and the vegetation that's in the wetland is varied, but the one that's a challenge is a species called Phragmites. Phragmites is an invasive weed. And the reason it's invasive because you cannot naturally control it. Historically, Phragmites has been controlled by herbicide, by spraying it to kill it. But we've discovered in our own operation that we can control Phragmites by grazing it.
For when you spray it, you kill everything. When you burn it, you kill everything. When you drought it, you kill everything. And we have been places where they haven't had cattle ever, and it is just a thick jungle mess of Phragmites. You can't walk through it. There's no habitat whatsoever for anything, for any birds, or any ducks, or geese, or anything. And that's where we come in, because you have cattle that are trained, recognize what the plant is. They will graze on it, select it out, and all of a sudden you are turning a disaster into a grazing opportunity.
Phragmites pushes the birds out and the wildlife species that would traditionally use these wetland areas. And so by grazing it, what you do is you're pushing back. You're preventing it from spreading, because there are literally thousands of cattle now in the valley grazing on Phragmites every summer. And what we've been able to show is that done the right way, proper management of cattle in these wetland areas actually improves the wetlands.
We take it serious, the responsibility we have for the environment, for the legacy of the past, and for the future of this operation.
I'm constantly looking for opportunities to improve, to enhance what we have, because we have a beautiful resource here, and I love it. This is irreplaceable.
Every day I'm out on this place, I look at it and say, this is what my grandfather started. And I need to be able to proudly say that I did the best I could, took what was here, improved upon it, and passed it on.
This land is able to produce enough beef, enough electricity, and enough water to supply close to 70,000 homes. And I think that's pretty neat for 30,000 acres right here in nowhere, Oklahoma. I'm Chuck Coffey. Myself, my wife Ruth, and our 3 children all manage a Double C cattle company located in the Arbuckle Mountains in southern Oklahoma. We run about 30,000 acres and run about 1,000 commercial spring calving cows.
We really value land, livestock, and legacy. Those are our 3 most important words, pretty much, for the Double C Cattle Company.
Water is a limiting factor on this property, so we've done a lot of development with solar wells to help with grazing distribution.
It's really changed the way we've been able to manage our cattle and graze cattle more efficiently on different sides of the pasture that we've not ever been able to get cattle over there because we don't have available water.
Eastern red cedar trees is, a very serious problem. We have encroachment issues on this beautiful prairie that you can see. The problem with cedar trees, they drink lots of water, they destroy all the ground underneath, and then they create areas of erosion. Sometimes it'll be an eastern red cedar forest and that you get absolutely nothing out of it as far as grazing, or the wildlife can't use it, people can't use it.
We consider red cedar a scourge in this part of the country. To control eastern red cedar, we do it primarily through fire. These grasses actually evolved under fire and grazing, so it's something that's healthy and needed for an ecosystem like this.
So through prescribed fire, we've noticed several benefits, because I can look at places where there was no grass and now there is grass. That to me is just Mother Nature saying, you're doing the right thing. For me, stewardship is going to be taking care of this land in a way that my ancestors can be proud of, my kids are going to be proud of, and our community, you know, that we live with and interact with every day can be proud of. It doesn't really hit home to you what's going to happen next until you have a kid. And then you learn, you're not going to live forever. And this little guy right here is coming up next. Since I have a son now, I think of more of the legacy.
I believe that if we can be good stewards and care for it while we're here, it'll be in good shape for the next generations.
We don't look at it that we own the land. We look at it as if we're blessed to have the privilege to manage the land during the short time that we're here, because it'll be here long after we are.
Stewardship to me is plugging into the environment in a seamless way, working with Mother Nature to leave the land better than we started. I'm David Mannix with Mannix Brothers Ranch in Helmville, Montana. We've been here a long time, right? Our family's been ranching on this landscape for over 140 years. My brothers and I are fourth generation, and then we have the fifth generation working on the ranch now, and some grandkids coming up. They'll be sixth when they get active. We've been fortunate with a number of the next generation wanting to come back. I think that's probably tied to the fact that they get some say in what goes on a not only a daily basis, but an annual and a far-reaching basis.
Every Tuesday morning, we get together for the weekly meeting, and we talk about bigger pictures type stuff, or how can we make things better, because every day we are working to leave the land better than we found it.
We started a direct-to-consumer beef program in 2008, and we feel that selling direct gives us a chance to connect with customers a little bit. We've always tried to be very open with what we do and why we do it.
I think it's to our advantage, but also to the ranching industry's advantage, to tell our story and promote what we're doing and share it. It kind of stretches our comfort zone at times, but it's also valuable, necessary steps we should take.
If there's one word that defines our sustainability goals, it would be to coexist. One way we coexist with nature is by improving our soil health, and we have found that rotational grazing has had a positive impact on the health of our land.
We're, like everybody else, trying to do a better and better job of taking care of soil health, forage health, and a big part of that is allowing enough rest. We want to bring in the cows for a short time and then get off that grass and let it recover to allow root development, a healthier, more resilient forage, and hopefully more production.
To make this intensive grazing work, it does take a lot of infrastructure. We probably have close to 100 different water tanks on pipelines, and those are sources of water where the cattle can concentrate that are away from the creeks to not impact the water and keep water quality high.
We're not just passionate about what's best for us, but what's best for the whole system. It's trying to do right by the land.
I think that Grandpa and Great-Grandpa both strongly felt that the goal was always to leave it better than you found it. That was passed on to my dad, my uncles, and to us.
That heritage and that commitment and that blood and sweat that went into managing and caring for the land, we don't take it lightly. It is very ingrained in us to do the responsible thing and care for the land.
It's really cool to see my nephews and my children engage and get it, and actually fairly quickly surpass my own level of knowledge. So that's rewarding, knowing that, you know, as we pass it on, that it will be taken care of, and I suspect it will be better than it is today. That would be pretty cool.